And we're recording.
I'll call to order the regular council meeting of March 5th, 2024 at 5 o'clock. We'll start with public input. The meeting is open to statements from no more than 5 members of the public, of no more than 2 minutes in length. For any member of the public.
I was gonna wait. Hi. To be honest with the Lillooet Chamber of Commerce, just had a quick question / comment. I know that today's meeting is not about the budget, and that's probably a good thing. I was just hoping that at some point maybe the district could communicate with the public what the best way is to engage with the public with the budget process. Is there a public hearing, or is it when it comes back to council forum committee? Like, what are the ways that the public might be able to engage with council on those topics? I just love, at some point maybe to have an opportunity to share that with people.
Okay.
Thank you.
May I respond? So the committee of the whole meetings are open to the public. There have been opportunities for the public to speak at the committee of the whole meetings on the budget. So there will be committees of the whole meeting in the coming days, tomorrow, and ongoing into next week as well. And that is an ideal way to communicate thoughts, concerns, questions on the budget as we move forward. And we appreciate all input from the public on the. Look at staff and whether there's any other public input.
Emails are always welcomed as well.
Then we'll move on to 3.1. Can I have a motion that the March 5th, 2024 regular council meeting agenda be adopted? Aaron? All in favor? All right, very good. We'll move on to 6.1, the adoption of the council meeting minutes. I can have a motion that the February 13th, 2024 regular council meetings be adopted as presented. Councilor Lee, Councilor Flynn. Then I'm going to move on to correspondence 9.1. Does anyone wish to remove a piece of correspondence? Councilor Flynn.
Number 2, School District 74.
2. So we'll move item number 2. And any other items? We'll move number 4. So number 2 and number 4 will be added to. So I'd like to have a motion that item number 2 and item number 4, or sorry, that item number 2, 2024-0209 Superintendent of Schools, and that item number 4, 2024-0220 Business Excellence Awards invitation be removed from the correspondence report for discussion under section 17 new business of the March 5th, 2024 regular council meeting, and that the remaining correspondence included in the information report dated March 5th, 2024 be received for information. Or we on to 11.1 or 11 reports and presentations of staff. We'll start with a request for a letter of support. That would speak to that.
Certainly through the chair. Bridge River Band is requesting that the district provide a letter of support for their application to the Rural Transit Solution Fund. Their project in mind is the purchase of some new buses for the community. They feel it's a great benefit to the community. As part of the grant application, they do need a letter of support from the municipality. The grant application was actually due, I believe, on the March 1st or February 29th. I did mention that we would bring it to this council meeting, so they will, should council support it, add that to their application after.
Update to staff on this item. That's our plan.
Through the acting mayor. Chair. Okay. I wasn't before, is this, I'm for this, but is this service going to be available for all Lillooet residents or just strictly for the Wishton members?
My understanding was all Lillooet residents.
Further questions? No. And I have moved that council approves staff providing a letter of support from the district for Hoiston's funding application to Rural Transit Solution Fund, RTSF. Councilor McNary, seconded by Councilor Weed. All those in favor? Good. We go to the cemetery gate. The rescinding of a notion of motion that was forward some time ago.
Through the chair, there was a misunderstanding about the condition of the gate. My understanding was that it was broken and it needed to be replaced, and the resolution was that staff was to find a price for the replacement of the gate. The gate has been repaired. It is in working condition. It maybe needs a paint as regular maintenance, but it shouldn't be a priority at the moment to replace the gate unless the council otherwise suggests. But in talking with the foreman and observing the gate, it looks like in working condition. So my recommendation would be to leave the gate for now.
Any questions to staff? Councilor Flynn?
Yeah, no, I just want to say I brought that motion for the repair of the gate back in 2023. I know that repairing the gate at that time seemed like a really minor thing to be diverting resources to, but it really did have a big impact on the families that do frequent the cemetery. I'm pleased to get that motion rescinded there and really look forward to seeing the fence getting painted this summer, as we mentioned in here. Just with it is an eyesore and it is our first introduction to people who are coming into town. That's one of the first things they see coming into Lillooet. It did make a big impact for a lot of families.
Have a motion that resolution R135-2023 be rescinded. Moved by Councilor Flynn, seconded by Councilor McNary. All in favor? Very good. We will move on to 11.3 PPP 24-001. 1209 Whitney Road variance to required road shoulder improvements in subdivision development service bylaw. Welcome, Jamie. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you very much, members of council. I'm very pleased to be here tonight and in person, which is exciting. I think last time you got to see my face on the screen, so it's better in this scale. Thank you very much. This evening, the presentation we had before you was a development variance permit to the subdivision development servicing bylaw to vary the road shoulder and sidewalk improvements for property on Whitney Road, 1209 Whitney Road. I think you can see on the map there the subject property, which is highlighted in yellow, out in the East Lillooet neighborhood near the airport. The property is zoned for more like an agricultural, rural, residential type property in the official community plan as well. So both are consistent. It's not anticipated that that property will change in the coming years in terms of its general land use. However, the owners are hoping to eventually subdivide that property from its current size of around 18 hectares to about 9.5 hectares each, 2 lots. Still, again, remaining quite rural residential in nature. Through that subdivision process, it would be generally required that the owners and the applicants would have to improve the property with a 1.5 meter paved frontage, not necessarily a sidewalk, but a paved frontage, as well as 1 meter wide gravel shoulders on both sides of the property. So the variance is to not require either of those, given the context of the neighborhood. I was out there both yesterday and today to get a feel for the neighborhood. Yesterday, a bit more snowy than it was today, which is why my shoes are a little bit more dusty today. But went out there, and again, I think it's important to see the property firsthand. The context of the neighborhood, it just doesn't seem rational at this point to require that level of improvement to the frontage of the property, given the fact that it would maybe be sidewalk or a pathway to nowhere right now in terms of where it connects and the current state of that road. For context, the subdivision and development servicing bylaw is being amended. That process is underway, and this is being looked at as an opportunity to reassess that requirement in general, so that council may see fewer of these variances in the future. So with that, Public Works and Planning staff are both supportive of this variance request. With every variance, neighboring properties within 100 meters must be notified via letter. They were. Council at the time of, I think, February 28th, when the agenda was published, there was one piece of correspondence that was received, which was in favor of the variance. And staff, to my knowledge, have not heard anything contrary since. With a variance, I just want to be sure that although staff are in favor, every variance, it's also required that there's an opportunity for the public to be heard, usually starting with the applicant. So at this point, I'll maybe turn it over to council. And I think, actually, if you move forward just a couple of slides, thank you, John. You can see the subject, the plan there and the frontage that would be have the requirement waived. And on the next slide, you can see through the magic of cell phone quality photos, the photo from today while we were out there, and you can see, none of the other properties in the area have developed with that level of improvement. So it's not like there's going to be an island of no improvement and then a whole bunch connecting down towards where the airport is. Remain consistent. With that, Your Worship, members of council, I'll turn that over to the public and council for deliberations and questions.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak to this, starting with the applicant?
The applicant is in the audience today.
Okay. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak to this development variance permit? No. Very good. Questions from staff or questions from council to staff? Councilman Mayor?
I can't see any reason why we shouldn't approve this. So personally.
Okay. Councilor Flood?
Through the chair, we're just doing the variance right now. We're not doing anything with the subdivision at this point.
Exactly, through the chair. That's exactly right. In fact, if the property is zoned for it and then meets the remaining requirements, you'd be dealing with the variance only. Council legally can't actually get into the approving of subdivisions themselves, which is done by the approving officer. So tonight, just dealing with the variance, and then subsequent technical exercises must be undergone to actually achieve a successful subdivision.
Question. So is this, I think it's more just for my learning and that sort of stuff, but so is the sidewalk requirement only relevant when it is subdivided, or is it relevant at this point?
Typically, the subdivision would be the trigger for it. When a subdivision is not occurring, these, in many cases, will also be required at the time of building permit. So, in this case, it would not be as if this would come back at the time of building permit. You have to vary it again. It has been varied. The variance actually remains as almost a notice on title, where you can see that this property would be subject to that variance, and it would carry with the property for the time being.
And the second question is, do you know whether this property is within the LR?
To my knowledge, the property is not within the ALR. I can clarify that for council. However, all subdivisions within the ALR do actually have to be approved by the ALR as well, which is an extra layer of approvals, which would ensure all the I's are crossed and the T's are dotted. I might have mixed that up.
Very good. Any other questions? No. Can I have a motion then that the development variance permit? Can we read the motion first? Can you move? Right. Sorry.
To the chair, if there is no changes to it, you can just make the motion as written.
I want to read it out.
Okay.
I don't get to do this very often, so. It'd be a short meeting anyway, so fair. So that the development variance permit, DVP 24001 for the proposed subdivision at 1209 Whitney Road, legally described as Lot 1, Plan Cap 62-363, District Lot 1291, Lillooet Land District DNL 1296A and 1305 to vary the following provisions of the subdivision development servicing bylaw 2007, number 286, to vary the requirement for a 1 meter wide gravel shoulder where the property fronts Whitney Road as prescribed in section 6.1.1 of Schedule B from required to not required. And vary the requirement for a 1.5 wide paved walkway as prescribed in section 6.1.1 of Schedule B from required to not required be approved. Move on. Councilor McNair. Second by Councilor Weed. All those in favor?
Oh, done.
Very good. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, very good.
Only took one round, too.
All right, we'll move on to 11.4, early budget approval request for treadmills.
Thank you, through the chair. As was mentioned, I believe at our first budget meeting, last budget meeting, the final remaining semi-working treadmill here at the rec center has bit the bullet. It was going to be part of the budget requests that council was going to consider through the committee of the wholes. It's now become more of a imperative situation that we replace them. So we are asking for early budget approval to purchase 2 treadmills that would be delivered and set up and would be funded through the recreation reserve.
Any questions? Is that Councilor McNair?
Have we got bids on these treadmills?
Through the chair, yes, the Megan did get a few quotes on them. This one is not the lowest price. However, it's the one that's in Canada and will service the machines here at the rec center. So the value is there.
Any other questions? Can I have then a motion that early budget approval be given for the purchase of 2 high-performance treadmills, and that the cost of the purchase not to exceed 18,000 be included in the financial plan to be funded through the district's recreation reserve? Councilor Flan, Councilor Weed, all those in favor? The 12 bylaws and resolutions. 12.1 council indemnity and expense bylaw is result of a notice of motion from the staff can speak to this. No.
I can. It's unfortunate the mayor is not here. This came from her notice of motion requesting an increase to council remuneration. I am suggesting, rather than amending the bylaw that we have in place, that we actually adopt a new bylaw so we can get away from having 15 amendments to one bylaw that we have to go through. That's why it is a brand new bylaw in there. None of the other terms, clauses have changed from the existing bylaw.
Any questions? I will express that I did not support the mayor's notice of motion to increase the compensation for mayor and council at this stage. We have many challenges in our budget as we're working on that, and I continue to feel that this increase at this time is not opportune. I will be supportive at the end of our term if such an increase will help to encourage more people to step forward to run for mayor and council. Councilor Flan.
I'll just say that at the last meeting, there were discussions as to when would be the best time to do an increase, whether it be at the end of the term, beginning of term, halfway through the term, August 2026. Honestly, whatever time frame is chosen, there's always going to be a pro or a con as to when it has to happen. It's been brought up now, so I feel that we put it in place now. Hopefully the slight increase is going to be enough to pique somebody's interest come next election time, if someone's interested in going into politics or for their community. Looking at the previous things, the last time I believe there was a remuneration was back in 2018, and that remuneration was actually more than what is being discussed at the moment as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Reed?
Through the acting chair.
I am chair.
Okay, to the chair, who's acting mayor. I guess being a third-term counselor, I know that this has been discussed and brought forward a couple of terms, and I commend our mayor for having, let's say, if I say what I want to say, I'm trying to think of the right word, having the confidence to bring it forward at this time. Like I said, there is, like Patty said, there is no right time to do it, but it's well needed. So I support the motion.
Very good.
I feel the same way as Barb, actually.
And then can I have a motion that the council indemnity and expenses bylaw, or sorry, can I have a motion that the indemnity and expenses bylaw number 2024-004 be introduced and read a first time? If I can continue. And that the indemnity and expense bylaw number 2024-004 be read a second time, and that the indemnity and expense bylaw number 2024-004 be read a third time. Councilor Plan moved and Councilor Mary seconded. All those in favor?
Oops.
Right. Then I will move on. No notice of motions. No. The mayor is not here, so we'll move on to reports from council. First. Our last meeting was, but 15th of Feb. Right. Okay, so on the 21st of February, I attended the local health planning table. It was my first time attending the local health planning table, and sat through an hour and a half. I'm not sure what it was. But I'm going to spend some a little bit more time trying to figure out. I thought it was a meeting to sort of encourage physicians to come to town and that sort of stuff, so that's why I was very excited. But I'm not entirely sure what this was. Like I said, I've lots to learn. On February 22nd, we had a meeting with Laura Saimoto about the Miyazaki House review grant application, working to create some upgrades to the house, that sort of stuff. And that application, the grant application has been submitted last Friday, so we'll wait to see when that will come through. And that. And with council, we've been working on budgets, a lot of different meetings. So I can say there's still a lot of work ahead. I'm very happy that there's a lot of input coming from staff and that sort of stuff. We'll continue our work on that. And also, we are continuing with our hiring process for a new CAO. And so it's good to see that moving along. And so hopefully we'll be able to report something definitive at that, on that at some point.
Okay. February 21st, I attended the same virtual meeting for the Lillooet Local Health Planning Table meeting. It was an invitation handed out by Jennifer Davidson, who is the Rural and Remote Divisions of Family Practice for Ashcroft, Lillooet, and Lytton. Same as Councillor De Bruin, I was more interested to see what was actually involved and what they were going to be talking about. There was some interesting conversation there, but basically it was a roundtable meeting where they were just updating the primary care network process. They had some discussions on physician retention. I believe they are wanting to increase our physicians to an extra 3. And the plan was just a discussion of the plan moving forward and on their primary needs. Also on February 21st, I attended the Lillooet Area Library Association, that's a mouthful, AGM. There was probably about 25 people there, including the LALA board members. We received reports from the chair, Bain Gare, Executive Library Director Toby Mueller, and also we got a financial report. There was an election of directors. All appointments it was all by acclamation, so the same board is in again this year. The library director did give an update of everything for the past year and did share some really interesting facts. The children's area at the library is always full. They answered 1,684 reference questions from the library there, and they loaned out 18,478 items last year from the library. There's also 1,200 active library card holders, and they had 225 new card holders sign up last year. That equates to approximately 28% of our 4,250 area population that can access the library. So that's actually pretty good. Another random fact that they threw at us, that there are 5 books in the library that have been loaned out more than 5 times last year. And I didn't ask what books they were. But there are 5 that are really popular. Also, they did give another report. I mentioned last year that the Lillooet Library Association were starting a pilot program. It did start in January, which was based off the Dolly Parton Imagination Book Library. It is for parents to sign up for children from 0 to 5 years old, where 4 times a year they will receive an age-appropriate book. The first ones did go out in January. So if you do know of any parents who have children within that 1 to 5 range, get them to contact the library. These books are free of charge. And the reason the library didn't go with the Dolly Parton Imagination Book Library was that those books are like from Penguin or one of the big book dealers, and they wanted to do something that was more Canadian content and more Lillooet content as well, so they can put in books that represent Statlium as well as the area and Canada. So that's very exciting for that one too. And budget time, it's been taken up lots of time for reading and trying to work things out. So that's me.
I took into account that, that meeting with the healthcare and whatnot. I don't need to say any more than what they've already said. And after that, that's it. Budgets. Lots of reading.
Bernie's favorite. That's what we.
It's the highlight of our demise here. February 26th, I zoomed into a MODI meeting, which is Ministry of Transport. There was a large discussion on Highway 40, Mission Mountain, Highline Road, and the Hurley, basically about BC Hydro access and road etiquette on those highways. There's been a few complaints about the BC Hydro drivers. There was supposed to be an emergency planning update, but that was carried forward to our next meeting in July. The Duffy Lake Road was also in big discussion. But from Blowdown Creek to Pemberton is a different jurisdiction and handled by Area C. So we have no say over the potholes or the lack of guiding or anything on that road. And there's nothing as far as repairs or anything on the Duffy Lake scheduled for this year. No budget for it. February 28th, I attended a SILGA webinar on forest and wildfire management. They had 4 speakers. Doug Donaldson he's a wildfire analyst, and fun fact, emissions from wildfire 3 times more than all other sources in BC. I was like, really? He said 97% carbon.
What did you see?
Emissions,
Okay.
carbon emissions
Yeah.
from wildfires, 3 times more than any other source in BC. Kevin Crease, who is a forester, and Murray Wilson, who's the manager of Tolko, stressed that we need to be more proactive instead of reactive. And that there should be a study done on getting rid of the old growth trees. They are a fire hazard, and the young trees are what they can service. That everything should be focused on mitigation and prevention, and the entire BC budget focuses on response and recovery. So there is nothing as far as mitigation or prevention in the budget. Jason Brolin, who was the West Kelowna Fire Chief, that one brought tears to, I think, everybody's eyes on there, because he had a video of the fires, and he said all his 30 years of experience was used up in the first 72 hours of that fire. Yeah, it was an eye opener, but it was a well attended webinar, and I got a look at it.
Okay, we'll go to the report of the Chief Administrative Officer.
Oh, well, thank you, Deputy Mayor, Drew. Next Monday, we're doing a couple of interviews for the Recreation Manager's position. Our Chief Recruitment is ongoing. Today I met the Area Director. Not sure if it's Area B or C, was Vivian. Had a nice meeting with her this morning. Had a nice Zoom call with the people from the C2C committee, the two staff people. We're going to meet again at the end of March. I proposed to the respective councils and regional district and tribal council, maybe do a particular workshop like you had 17 and 2019. So I had to do a big learning curve and hopefully have a workshop for you folks in the fall. So all the topics we bounced around, and they're just rough, tourism thing and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So we're trying to make it maybe a day and a half. And there's some grant money available, 10,000 here, 10,000 there. We're going to have to ask for an extension if we have some coming, which I haven't passed on yet. So anyways, it's coming back for members of councils. That's in a nutshell what's happening. So it's all about recruiting. I'm very pleased to have Jimmy McGowan on staff. I can't tell you that enough. I'm so pleased to have him on board. Him and I are going to be recruiting for the temporary position of the planning clerk. That's underway. I see some good candidates coming in. Jamie will shortlist, and we'll make a really short list, get someone on board really quick before our amazing and wonderful Christina parts us for a while on her mat leave. That's in a nutshell what's going on. Not here Friday, go back to PG for the weekend. But, I am spending more time in the rec center. I will be doing that here for the next few weeks or more. Just to provide some moral support and see what's going on a little bit more. As an old recce, it's fun to do, but I did spend some time with the staff today and met some of the staff. So, yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. That's all I have. Thank you.
And then we go to new business, 17.1, which is the correspondence to the superintendent of schools. Councillor Flynn.
I was just wanting to know, is it acceptable for us to send a letter congratulating the new superintendent on their position? They don't start until May, so there's really no real hurry to get that done. But just that we're looking forward to working with her.
Through the chair, it's certainly acceptable if you'd like to make a motion to send a letter of congratulations.
Should I make a motion that we could send a letter of congratulations to the new superintendent of schools? She doesn't start till May, so.
Second by Councillor Lee, all in favor? Anything else? Then we go to 17.2, which is the letter from the Chamber of Commerce. The Business Excellence Awards invitation from the Chamber of Commerce. So last year, most of the members of council had the opportunity to attend this event. And I would like to make a motion that we direct staff to respond to the invitation from the Chamber of Commerce and indicate that Mayor Huffel or an alternate would be honored to attend and speak at the second annual Business Excellence Awards.
I'm gonna be there tending bar, so.
You're gonna be attending bar.
There
we go. You'll be the sober one that can speak then. So it's been moved by Councilor Flynn, all those, seconded, all those in favor. Okay. Are you gonna be there again?
I'm not sure.
Not sure? Are you gonna be there?
I'm up and down. I never know what my schedule is, so.
It's too far away. It is, March 23rd. I'm sure there are still tickets available, a few tickets available. Okay, so we'll have to get that,
We sell you a table.
and,
Just kidding.
all right, very good. So that was 17.2. The media, the public. So the meeting is now open to questions from the media and public. So happy that at least somebody.
I wanna get my questions in this end. Did council know that a year ago, BC Hydro committed to releasing an access and accommodation study by the spring of 2024? As a chamber, we're gonna be following up with them to see how it's going. And maybe council is interested to follow up as well, to just see where the study is at and whether or not they've made any progress on those. So I guess my question is whether or not council would be curious about how the access and accommodation study of BC Hydro is going for the next 10 years.
It's my understanding that they did publish a report recently. There were some meetings around that where they published what the impacts would be and that sort of stuff.
Yes. My understanding is that the last meeting they had was they were showing progress on the study. So they were talking specific routes and specific accommodation sites. But I haven't seen a final report yet, so. And that report supposedly also has recommendations in it as to how BC Hydro may be able to mitigate some of the impacts they will have. I certainly have not seen those recommendations, but I'm very curious about them.
Okay, very good, thank you. Great. Any other questions from media public? Then I'll ask for a motion that the March 5th, 2024 regular council meeting be adjourned at 5:37. 5:37. There you go. Just 5:37. Yeah, Councilman Mayor, Councilman Glenn, all those in favor. 37 minutes.
That's me on the record.
Well, last year.
Last week.
Last year, we did one.
Yeah,
Super,
that's
that's
the one that I
immediate.
had posted, yeah, you kind of just went through it. I wasn't here.